All right, let's just jump right in. Think about this for a second. That voice in your head, the one that's probably commenting on what I'm saying right now, you've always just assumed that's you, right? That you're the one doing the thinking. But what if, and this is a big what if, that entire assumption is just wrong?
No, seriously, where do they actually come from? The very last thought you had, did you decide, okay, now I'm going to think that specific thought? Or did it just sort of show up? This one little question is the key. It's the key to unlocking a totally different relationship with your mind, and honestly, with reality itself.
Now, this might sound a little out there, I get it, but the idea is simple. You're not generating thoughts, you're receiving them. Spiritual traditions have talked about this for centuries, and guess what? Modern science is actually starting to catch up. The big takeaway here is that we're not the authors of our thoughts. We're more like the audience.
Okay, so, Section 1. The voice isn't yours. Let's start by grounding this in some cold, hard data, and then an experience you can have for yourself right now.
So check this out. Back in the 80s, neuroscientists discovered something kind of mind-blowing. Your brain literally gets the ball rolling on a thought or an action a full 300 to 500 milliseconds before you're even consciously aware of it. Let that sink in. Your conscious mind is literally playing catch-up. You're not creating the thought, you're just becoming aware of it after it's already happened. But you don't need a PhD or a bunch of lab equipment to prove this. You can verify it for yourself in the next 60 seconds. Let's try a little experiment. It's super simple. Go ahead, you can even pause this. Just set a timer for 1 minute, close your eyes, and really try, to have zero thoughts. So, how'd that go? My guess is thoughts just kept bubbling up, didn't they? A random memory, a worry about tomorrow, a judgment about this very exercise. They showed up totally uninvited. And that's the whole point. If you can't control their arrival, then how can you possibly be their source? All right, Section 2, from thinker to observer. This is where it gets really good. Because if you're not the one thinking the thoughts, then what are you? Well, you are the awareness in which the thoughts appear. And that tiny distinction, well, it changes absolutely everything.
Basically, you have two ways of living. On one side, there's identifying as the thinker. This is default mode for most of us. An anxious thought pops up, and boom, you are anxious. You're controlled by it. You react to it, and it's exhausting. But on the other side, you can identify as the observer. You see that same anxious thought, but you see it like a cloud passing through the vast sky of your awareness. It's just there. It doesn't have to define you. And wow, the freedom in that space is just incredible.
So, Section 3, decoding your inner broadcast. This leads to the next logical question, right? If these thoughts aren't coming from me, then where on earth are they coming from? Think of your mind as a kind of radio receiver, constantly tuning into a few key stations. It turns out our thoughts are mostly pulled from 3 main channels. First, you've got direct experience. That's the now. This coffee is hot, or that's a loud noise. Then there's your personal history, all that old programming, the beliefs and fears from your past that just run on autopilot. And finally, and this is a huge one, there are the collective fields, all the anxieties, narratives, and ideas we just absorb from the culture around us. And this is where it gets absolutely wild. When this stuff is actually tracked, it turns out that a whopping 65% of our daily thoughts, the vast majority of our mental energy, is spent on stuff we're picking up from the collective. Thoughts that have almost nothing to do with our personal, direct lives. We're just tuned into the wrong station. Now here's the kicker. Your internal state, your nervous system, your heart rhythm, it creates a real, measurable electromagnetic field around your body. This isn't just a metaphor, it's biophysics. So when you identify with chaotic, stressful thoughts, you are literally broadcasting a chaotic, incoherent signal. But when you step back into that role of the calm observer, you broadcast a smooth, coherent one. You are a walking, talking broadcast tower. Which brings us to Section 4, how reality responds. Because changing that internal broadcast isn't just an internal game. It has very real, very tangible effects on your external world. This is where the rubber really meets the road. You've probably heard this idea from quantum physics, that the simple act of observing something changes the outcome. Well, a similar dynamic applies to our lives. Reality isn't some fixed, solid thing out there. It's much more like a responsive field that organizes itself around your focus, around your observation. When you observe your world through the filter of a limiting thought, like relationships are always hard, reality tends to conform to that belief to prove you right. You're essentially telling it what to show you. And again, don't just take my word for it, prove it to yourself. This 30-day practice is an amazing tool. For week 1, you just write down your recurring thoughts. In week 2, you start connecting the dots between those thoughts and what happens in your life. Week 3 is the practice. You see the thoughts, but you don't buy into them. You just observe. And by week 4, you start to document how reality begins to show you different results, all because you remove that limiting filter.
All of this leads to the most profound destination, Section 5, living as the awareness. If you are not your thoughts, and you've built your entire identity on those thoughts, then who are you really?
Look at the massive power in this tiny shift of language. We go from saying, I am anxious, which makes the feeling a core part of your identity, to I am the awareness that is observing anxious thoughts. Do you feel the difference? The anxiety is just an experience passing through you. It's not the definition of you. This is a complete game changer. And when you make this shift, it just ripples out into every single area of your life. In relationships, you can connect deeply without that needy, clinging energy. At work, you can find a state of flow because your self-worth isn't tied to every little outcome. Your health literally improves as your nervous system finally gets a chance to relax. It's a fundamental upgrade to your entire operating system. Ultimately, this whole journey leads to one simple, direct recognition. Your true identity isn't a story you tell yourself. It's not a label. It's the silent, spacious presence that has been here all along, watching every thought, every feeling, and every experience come and go. So I'll leave you with this. Just take a moment. If you strip away every thought, every label, every story about yourself, what's left? Because your answer isn't another thought. It's the frequency you broadcast through the recognition of what you truly are. And the world around you, well, it's ready to respond.